I'm too tired or I don't have the energy. I'm afraid that if I push myself, I'll burn out. And so they just constantly living on the edge the whole time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 156. I met this lovely individual at a speaking gig where we both were speaking up in Queensland to a summit for natural health practitioners, and we just really hit it off. So I want to introduce you to Angela Carroll. A few things about her before you meet her. So she's a business and performance coach for natural health practitioners. She essentially helps them grow their business and create, as she calls it, a lifestyle practice with financial, time and lifestyle freedom. She has over 30 years in natural medicine herself. She's an experienced naturopath, herbalist, and acupuncturist. So she not only knows about the business side, but also very much about the human body and the energy of who we are as beings. She's an educator and speaker, which is where I met her. She's trained over 10,000 practitioners in evidence-based natural medicine and practice management through seminars, webinars, and podcasts like you're about to listen to her here. We have some great conversations and a few different ways that we're going to take this. So if you are a natural sort of health practitioner, definitely you need to hear this, absolutely. Or as she says, if you're anyone that said, I went to school to become a insert job title, you need to hear this. If you are thinking about changing your career path, you've already always had like a calling inside on perhaps working in this space, definitely you want to hear this. And if you're just overall interested in the health and wellness space, this is for you too. Really, you know what? Everyone. So guys, I'm really honored and excited to introduce you to Angela. Are you ready? Let's welcome her on. Angela, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here. How are you?
I'm fabulous, Heather. It's a pleasure to be here. That's I love the fact that we met speaking in public and, speaking on stage in public. Anyway, we've got this opportunity now, so I'm looking forward to today's conversation.
Me too. Guys, you're going to hear all about what she does in her business and how she helps others. But I think the biggest thing that I loved about her, as you mentioned, we were speaking, is the feedback from the audience. Just how you inspired them. They were all abuzz, like, oh my gosh, I feel inspired. I feel heard. I feel like ready to grow my business. And you have a really amazing way of doing that, which we're going to talk about. So, all right. I always like to start with some tangibles, straight into it, and then we'll get to know you a little bit and how you help people. So obviously this show is all around growing a business in a smarter way and trying not to burn out and, get highly frustrated and sad and overwhelmed about the growth of your business. So with that said, what do you do personally with your own business? Like, what are a few tips that you do to stay sane when you go through harder growth moments?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're staying sane. Number one thing is I don't buy into the internal dialogue. So that's my first tip, because as soon as you start buying into stuff, then you downward spiral and it just escalates everything. I think overall for me it's managing energy. So a lot of people say, oh, I'm time poor, I don't have enough time, we're running out of time, I don't have time to do this, and this whole busy kind of concept that's everyone's buzzing around, I'm busy. But it's not really time management's the issue, it's energy management. And so if you've got the energy and the vitality and the drive to go forward, you can get your stuff done. You can get it done in time, in a timely manner, no matter what. So energy management over time management is 100% priority. And that's not self-care. It's not, I hear from practitioners, I'm too tired or I don't have the energy. I'm afraid that if I push myself, I'll burn out. And so they just constantly living on the edge the whole time. And energy is not just physical energy. So you've got to look after your emotional energy, hence why I don't buy into any stories. You've got to look after your spiritual energy, which is super important as well, because we've got to have that connection to purpose and that connection to spirit, to God, whatever your belief system is. And we've got to also, in addition to those three, we've got to also look after our mental energy too. So, making sure that everything is in alignment. What do you need to do more of and what can you do less of to make sure you've got the energy? So that's probably my first big thing
Yep.
as far as keeping things going. The other things that I look at doing that are really important, I think, are keeping the identity of a business owner first. And so you make business owner decisions. So my niche is practitioners, naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists predominantly. And any clinician, anyone who did how can I put it? You went to college and you became whatever that thing you became. If your identity is that person and you're trying to run a business, your business is going to struggle all the time. So having a business owner identity first, then you make business owner decisions, and then the practitioner side of things comes after that. You need to be good at your practice, but you don't need another qualification.
Really good.
You need to be good at running a business effectively. So they're probably I have a list of a few, but they're probably my top two, really.
Really interesting. We're going to talk about practitioners in a moment and what you do there. And I know that there's quite a few that listen in on this podcast, whether it's, health and wellness or beauty, or even kind of what you said. I consider it professional services. Like I went to school to become a lawyer, accountant, etc., because they are wrapped up in that sort of technician identity. And I hear that all the time as well. And they're like, oh, well, who am I to go out there and do this? Or why, I don't want to get in front of the camera and promote myself. So
I didn't go to college to become a marketer.
No, exactly. This is my gift. Why do I have to do this stuff? Because it's growing a business, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. So I want to know more about you and your journey. So where did you come from as far as sort of professional, personal, and now what are you doing in your personal and professional life?
Yeah, I've got an interesting meld. I think it's interesting. It's my story. I've an interesting meld of corporate and practice. So the two of them have just intertwined themselves all my life. So probably 40 years in corporate, in and out, corporate traineeship, studying business at college before becoming a practitioner. I feel that I became a practitioner what I call divine intervention. So I first became a naturopath, but I was having a conundrum. I was living in Tokyo, working over there in corporate, and I had enough. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And I kept asking for guidance, like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And it went for months and months and months. And then suddenly one day I wasn't thinking about it, lying on my futon, and the word naturopath came into my head. Like I heard it, I saw it, and I didn't know what a naturopath was.
Yeah.
I'd never been to a naturopath. I didn't know anyone who had been to a naturopath. I had no idea what they did. I just assumed that naturopath must have been something to do with natural medicine. Yeah. And so I came back to Australia and sort of found my way into studying and going from there. Then I've circled back into corporate now and coaching practitioners. So when COVID came, I was a presenter and a lecturer, and I'd been coaching practitioners at that stage for about 17 years in business and natural medicine. And when COVID hit, my role became redundant. So I then decided to sidestep into coaching practitioners rather than being a practitioner myself, because I had that opportunity. I could have gone back into practice, but with all the experience that I had around business and the thousands of practitioners I trained over the years, I knew that I was better used to society, better used to having a bigger impact by becoming a business coach for practitioners, as opposed to being in competition with them, because there's so many of them need the business help, the business support from somebody who knows the industry inside out.
Very smart. Do you miss being a practitioner yourself ever?
Yeah, I do. I do. I miss sitting knee to knee with somebody and going through, I've got a really strong, thorough understanding of anatomy, physiology, biochem pathways.
Yeah.
And I honestly find, a detox pathway or understanding how we make energy or what's going on with the mitochondria is so much easier than understanding how to do paid ads. At the moment, it's having a learning curve. But it's, it's running a business, doing the marketing, all the advertising, all the rest of it. When I was in practice, we didn't have to do so much of that. No. Because we didn't have social media in those days.
Very, very true. I mean, it was just literally probably referrals or like street traffic in a lot of cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now let's dive into what you're how you help people, because you have this incredible wealth of knowledge. And I'd like to start, if you're okay, with a bit of a case study. So if you can think of a practitioner that you've helped recently, you can shout out their name or the name of their practice if you want, or keep it not, secret. But tell us, like, when somebody comes to you, what's going on for them, and then specifically, how did you help them with their practice and to grow? So,
absolutely.
and I'm probably going to dive into some of these tips as you go as well. So, over to you.
Fabulous. Usually practitioners are in either two boats that I work with. So the first boat is they're struggling to really understand how to be a business owner first, struggling with their marketing, struggling to get clients on board, struggling to have a consistent income. So effectively, their weeks are a roller coaster. So there's no stability. They can't forward budget. They, can't be sure about what's going to happen with them as far as holidays go, or any planning in advance. And it's a really unstable and a really stressful situation for practitioners to be in. So their focus is on learning how to be a business owner, learning how to market themselves, and learning how to get continual clients and income so that they can at least get to 5K months consistently and forward from there. The second type of practitioner that comes in is the practitioner who's done really well and their books are full and they can't fit any more in, and they're doing one-to-one consultations and they're tied to their practice. And they can't earn any more money than they're earning because your money is capped by the number of hours you've got in the day and the energy you have to see those clients during the week.
Yeah.
So they're tied to their business, and for both types of practitioners, when they go on holiday, they don't have any income. They can't take time out. They can't plan to do what they want to do. And so some are so busy, they're tied and stuck in the business. And the other ones are desperately trying to find new business. And so I I coach, I look after, support both types of practitioners through that process so that they can actually have more freedom. Well, I call it a lifestyle practice. So I've coined the term lifestyle practice, where you've got time freedom, financial freedom, and lifestyle freedom. And that's what, when I speak to most practitioners, that's what they want. And I think if you looked at most small business owners, that would be what they'd want as well.
Across the board, yeah.
Yeah. So you asked about a case. One of my favorites is Katie, because Katie kind of straddled both of those. So she came in, and when I first met Katie, she'd only been in practice for about 12 months or so. And I was having a little bit of a laugh with her one day, and I said, did you think it was going to be like this when you got out? She said, oh, hell no. Because I'd qualify, I'd graduate, and then people would just come knocking at my door, and I'd find all these people. And so when I saw Katie, she was seeing about 3 clients a week, maximum. And she was just really, really struggling with that process. She was married, she had children. I think she had 5 children. And so she was, she had a lot on her plate. She wasn't just, swanning around doing nothing. And so she first came in with me and started working together, and we built her up first so she had a stable practice. But within a few months, she went from my foundational program into what I call my mastery program. And as she moved up into there, she set herself a goal. Katie's very first year in business, she did $12 profit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we changed that into 5K months, 8K months and above. And as she moved up in that period of time, she was working with me, which was about 18 months to 2 years in total. One of the goals that she set herself was to take the entire family on a ski holiday in Japan, all expenses paid. She was going to pay for the whole lot. And so we're talking over $40,000, for a holiday, ski holiday for a family that size. And Katie was able to pay for that entire trip herself, fund the entire family to go on that trip. And then obviously there was over and above the profits that she was making as well. So in such a short period of time to go from $12 profit to being able to take the family on a $40,000+ ski holiday. And she's just such a delightful woman, such a beautiful woman. Yeah.
Wow. So I want to know some of the things that you did to help her from A to B. Where did you start?
When I talk to Katie, I always love to have a conversation with my clients about, what worked for them and how they went. Katie's first big thing was understanding that she was a business owner first.
Okay.
Making that transition into it. The second was a lot of it's belief stuff. Okay. So a lot of, for the vast majority of my clients, their success is mindset, because your business will never outgrow your mindset. And so your business is limited by the level of personal growth that you've had. So we do a lot of mindset work. We do a lot of personal growth work. So it's not just a business coaching course. It's also personal development, personal growth through that time. And so Katie, first of all, seeing herself as a business owner, making business owner decisions, believing that she could do it. So in our industry, at college, the vast majority of practitioners are told that you can't make an income in this industry, that you just do it as a labor of love. Yeah, we're all indoctrinated coming through from the college stage. So we come through with a poor cousin kind of mindset and mentality, and almost like, okay, well, it's only going to be a hobby business for the most of practitioners. So Katie's changes were around those areas. And then on a foundational level, we looked at changing her marketing so that she was consistently finding new clients, connecting. We looked at her social media, how that was going to work. And then the next stage is the stage that will take that glass ceiling away. And that is for you to be able to create a program. So you create a program and a signature system. So people are coming into there and they're paying you for an extended period of time to work with you. They get better results in a group coaching program. And it's much easier for the practitioner. So the practitioner makes more money, frees up time, and clients get better results and are involved in community. So it's a win-win on all situations. So
Really
there was the two big things that we did with Katie.
Did you have another type of case study or practitioner you want to talk about, or because I don't want to cut you off if you have more, because I also have more questions around what you do. So
I think Katie's a nice, because she bridges both. So I think she's a nice case study. There are lots of case studies. There's one practitioner who these are all solo practitioners as well. They don't have support staff. They don't have anything else rolling for them. But there was one practitioner. We were on the call, and I said, "You haven't sent me your financials yet. Where's your profit and loss?" "Oh, I'll give it a little minute. Well, I get back to my bookkeeper, and she'll get them for you." She had no idea what a business level was like. And she got back to her the message. She said, "Oh my God," she said, "I just have done over $250,000." And that was in 10 months. She had no idea what her figures were. No idea. Yeah. So, like this big possibilities for practice. I suppose the thing with that is you can make money in this industry.
It's really wonderful that you're saying this, because anyone else that's listening, you're not a practitioner, I'm sure you would agree that this also feels very close to you. I mean, I cannot tell you how many just small businesses in general, they don't know their numbers, they don't know where to start. They're stuck, feeling like you were saying, in like this sort of toxic way of thinking and being. That anyone that's listening is getting good information from this. So let's talk a little bit about some, I guess, trends would be the word I want to go with. What are you finding that people, consumers that would book a practitioner, what are they most looking for right now?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. There was some research that was done by a company I used to work for, and what they found that in Australia, because they're Australian-based where they did the research, in Australia, that 75% of Australians use natural medicine. So that means they buy supplements, they dabble in those areas. Only 4% see a practitioner.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Teeny.
Yeah. So the number one, that tells me there's a massive pool of opportunity for practitioners in their marketing. But there's this whole DIY concept, like, I can Dr. Google myself and I can find out what's going wrong, and then I can find out from there, I can look, I need vitamin C, or I need NAC, or I need this herb, or I need whatever. And so there's this concept that you can treat yourself, you can manage yourself, you manage your health. And so from a consumer perspective, why would I go and pay a practitioner? Why would I see a practitioner if I can do it myself? There's that whole mindset, that whole mentality. It's one that bugs me, because, if you were sitting at home and something happened with the plumbing or something happened with the electricity, are you going to go and do it yourself? No, you're not. You're going to go and get an expert to deal with the plumbing or the electricity problem so that you can actually fix that up. Our bodies are way more complicated than your plumbing or than your electrical cables. Yeah, and so much more can go wrong, and that's why you need a practitioner as an expert to guide you on that process. So thinking you can do it yourself, well, you probably can. It's going to take you way longer. It's going to cost you way more, and you're not going to get targeted and exact on what the problem is. So coming back to trends, the heart of the problem is that practitioners are not doing enough education for the general public on what's going wrong and why they need to see a practitioner.
Okay. Multiple questions coming in my brain on that, by
Yes.
the way.
Yes.
So
There are also
this,
trends. There are also trends from a. Sorry to talk over you.
yeah,
There
no,
are
you're
also
fine.
trends from a practitioner perspective as well.
Tell me.
Trends in the market from that perspective. Because of the sudden influx during COVID, when everyone was locked down, of businesses where they suddenly lost their income completely, they moved to online and they moved to online coaching. So we had this huge influx of people that came in as touted health coaches or wellness coaches that have got minimal training compared to a practitioner that's done 4 years, 7 years training, whatever, plus all the extras they've done. And they're setting themselves up with coaching programs and they're charging a huge amount of money for those coaching programs, but they don't have the qualifications. Yeah, and they haven't got the research and they haven't got all of that behind them, but what they've got is they're good at marketing. So what we've seen over the last 20 years is the practitioners that do really well are practitioners who are good at marketing and good at business. They're not necessarily the best clinicians. So what we're seeing then as a consequence of the influencers that are coming in and we're seeing the coaches that are coming in and setting themselves up, now practitioners are moving from the restrictive one-to-one model into a one-to-many. So creating a program, creating a signature system. And so if they want to keep their head above water, they're going to have to get competitive.
Right. Okay.
Because that's what people want.
So based on that, first question is, if they need to get competitive and they need to market themselves, but a lot of them are, as I know from being on the event with you, very timid around getting on camera and promoting themselves. They feel like it's salesy or just not right with their practice. And believe me, most people that I deal with are like, I don't want to get on camera. So this is like anyone that's listening. How do you work with people through the importance of sharing your message to find your people?
Yeah, I am. This is where I get on my soapbox. I am really, really passionate about if you've got the knowledge and you have the expertise and you have the training, I think that it's morally wrong to not get out there and tell people about it. Yeah, I believe that for all of us, that we were created on purpose, in purpose, for a purpose. And when we were created, that purpose was put inside us. And if that happens to be that you're a practitioner, then you're answerable to that. Yeah, your purpose in life is to heal people, it's to help people, it's to show people a better way of living, to transform. And practitioners say, I don't like selling, I don't like that sales aspect of it, but they're selling every single day they're in practice. They're selling health, they're selling well-being, they're selling a better way of living, they're selling longevity, they're selling no more headaches, no more painful periods. That's what they're selling. They just need to take it outside and put it where people can see it.
Very, very important, because speaking from a consumer, so I'm going to go there now too. You mentioned really interesting stats around the Aussies that take supplements, and we're into our health and fitness and being outside, but 4% of us actually get professional guidance outside of the Western medicine. What would you say to somebody listening that's like, okay, I'm kind of interested in dabbling in a practitioner, or like there's a lot of different areas we could go with this. Where would somebody that's new to this, where would you suggest they start?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. I think for starting off, try and find somebody local, because that's where you can actually come in, you can have a need conversation with them. They've got time to be with you. There's the online side of things has exploded in the last 5 years. And so if there's no one close by you, then that's fine. But I think starting local, if you can find someone local, is a nice way to go. Ask your friends, ask people around. Have you seen a naturopath? Have you seen a nutritionist? Have you seen a herbalist? Have you been to somebody before? Because there'll always be people who can make recommendations for you as well. And so I would start with just literally having a look at who's out there. Knowing too that it's a relationship that you're going to be building with your practitioner, so you need to feel comfortable. And a lot of practitioners, at least the ones that I coach, do what are called discovery calls. And so I use inverted commas on that because they call them all different names. But a discovery call essentially is where you get to go and have maybe a 15-minute conversation with that practitioner. Is that right for me? Is that the person I want to work with? So shop around until you find somebody who you really gel with. Don't make your decisions based on money. Usually the practitioners are charging more. They're charging more for a reason, and you're going to get a higher quality practitioner as a consequence of that. And so I think, shopping around from a price point commodifies your health. And I don't think you can put a price on that, really. You want results, and, I would expect to see results, within a 6-week period of time of working with somebody if you're working with them consistently. Yeah. Also, don't be afraid to buy into a group coaching packages, because seriously, the results you'll get in a group coaching package are superior to what you'll get in one-on-one. Absolutely. You get community, you get a call. In most cases, you'll get a call every week. So you'll actually have a coaching call rather than when you're seeing somebody one-on-one, which is still a really lovely thing to do. You might only see them once in a fortnight or once in a month. So if you want better results and you want more care and you need the kick in the butt, you need that accountability, then the group coaching packages are a really good way to go.
That's really interesting. I've never actually thought about that before for practitioners, but it definitely makes sense in my background with business, because if ever I'm part of like a mastermind or a group, you learn so much from the other people, and sometimes you're too shy to ask your question. So of course it would translate over into this space.
Yeah, it totally does. And practitioners will always have, well, not always, as a generalization, most of them will have an opportunity for you to have one-on-one with you to get the individualization that's specific for you for what you need. But then you have the group where you what's the African proverb? If you want to go faster, go on your own. If you want to go further, go with others. And I think that's, a good way to remember.
So there's something else that's coming to mind from our chat, and this stems from an interview that I had with one of my previous guests that worked for Amazon as an AI engineer. And he completely left to be a wellness practitioner, Reiki, a healer. What a fantastic transition. And I guess I'm saying this to you because I have a question in a minute, but there's a lot of people right now with the advent of AI and a bit of the chaoticness that's out there in the world that listen here wondering if they should continue in business. What if they have another call? What advice would you have to somebody that's listening and saying, yeah, I might want to go into this. I might want to try this new piece of me that's been waiting to come out. What would you say to them?
That is such a fascinating question. My thing would be is go and try a whole lot of different practitioners yourself. Yeah, I will always, even after I spent 32 years as a practitioner, I will always go and try different practitioners, see what's around, see what I like. So if it's all new to you, don't limit yourself to one modality. See a naturopath, see a kinesiologist, see a herbalist. Every practitioner is different. Yeah. So, and every practitioner works in a different way. So I went to one naturopath and I didn't like it, doesn't mean that you wouldn't like the next one that you could actually go to. Yeah. So I would shop around, spend 6 months shopping around, trying a bit of this, trying a bit of that. I really like that, didn't like that. What is it? And then talk to those practitioners about their experience, how they got into the industry, what choices they made, where did they study, because different colleges have different standards, again, like anything. And so, you shop around for a while first, rather than just deep diving in, which is what I did. But I was 100% certain that was my calling, 100% certain. I knew it within my heart.
Because there's going to be people listening for sure that are like, well, this is an untapped market opportunity based on the stats that you give. And this might be the little nudge for them to try something new. So that's why I asked that question. I want to turn it to you before we start to wrap up and about your business, your practice. What is something that you feel you've done really well in the last year? What was it specifically? It can be anything in your business. And why are you choosing to say this is what you've done really well?
I've stepped more into who I really am and how I really work. So, before playing the nice person, being a people pleaser, you don't want to do that thing that I'm asking you to do that I know is going to turn your business around. Well, okay, you do you. And now it's Now it's, now it's serious conversations. We have a little running joke within the groups that I have, because I have 2 programs. A little running joke in there about my size 9 shoe. So we joke about the fact that, you're going to hear from me if I think that you're not pulling your weight, that you're not doing what you need to be doing. And so I'll often, come out with a little bit of a push and push people in the right direction. And that is that no fluff. Let's get stuff done, settle in, focus on what you need to focus on. Here's the thing, and just go and do it, and then come back when it's done. Is seeing people move through a lot faster. The other thing that I have, in addition to that, is I have a roadmap. So in both programs, there is a roadmap that sees people through. So every day they know what they're working on. Every day they know what milestones they have to hit to get to where they need to get to. So they're not just coming in and going blind, not coming in and being overwhelmed. I say I have an onboarding process, and it's like, we don't want you overwhelmed, we don't want you underwhelmed, we just want the right amount of whelm. So we make sure that everybody just has that, and they know what they're working on at all times, so that they can be results focused.
Nice. Okay, now think back to you a year ago. What is something that you would have loved to tell your you from a year ago about don't make that mistake? Don't do that thing in the next year. Do you have something that comes to mind, what you would say to yourself?
Yes. I mentioned before about ads, social media ads. I took too long for me to actually get in there. I've just gone, it's in the too hard basket. It's in the too hard basket. And so it sat on my shoulder for a long period of time before me really taking action on it. I was focused on other things, but getting really comfortable with the ads. And it sounds strange, a business coach that's not doing ads, but I teach my guys how to work organically. Because if you can't get your message right, and if you can't connect with people, and if you can't get your organic stuff done, then there's absolutely no point in doing paid stuff at all, because it's not going to, it's just going to be wasted money. So for me, it's always been organic, and now I should have gone a year earlier. However, I can learn from that, can't I?
You can. And how are the ads working out now? Are they working for you?
We're getting there. We're in a process of finding what's landing and what works and what doesn't work. So, with all marketing, as you know, I'm sure you say this a gazillion times, it's test and measure. So we're just in that process at the moment of what works and what doesn't work. Let's do more of what works, and let's do less of what doesn't work.
I appreciate that you said that, because a lot of people will try it once, it doesn't work, and then they're committed to the it doesn't work belief. So thank you for sharing that. Now, how do people work with you? It's practitioners, as we've established. What's the best step that they can take to get to know more about you?
The easiest thing really would be to reach out to me on either Messenger. Yeah, you can use Messenger. Reach out to me on Facebook or on Instagram. They're the 2 easiest ways. My website's due for a massive overhaul and an update, so don't even bother going there. But and the thing too with that is, I think in the early days of business for practitioners, you don't have to have a website to begin with. I think that is, once you get a little bit of growth happening and you're comfortable in your own lane and what you're doing, then I can see the benefit of having that for the next scale side of things. But so I help my guys to understand Facebook and Instagram more intimately. And so that's the best. That's where I hang out.
Go find you on the socials. Follow you, DM you. Yeah. Okay. Really smart.
Tell me which posts you're liking and which ones you're not. So
you can do a little market research at the same time.
That would be great.
I love it. As we start to wrap up, are there any last words of advice or wisdom that you would like to share with the people listening?
Wisdom. Yes, for people who are not a practitioner, go and try a practitioner out. Don't do it on your own. You'll actually find you'll get way better results with a practitioner. For practitioners, my advice is get a coach. I often talk about the fact that athletes have a coach. And how hard can it be to run in a circle or swim in a straight line? Like, really? And all of those athletes, because they're performance focused, they all have a coach. Practitioners running a business, trying to be a practitioner, trying to be a business owner, and everything else that comes in between those 2 bookends, there's so many moving parts. And so having a coach, whether it's me or it's somebody else, it doesn't matter. I just want them to do well. I want them to excel. I want them to be able to be confident in their practice. I've seen too many good clinicians leave the industry because they couldn't make an income.
What a really amazing way to end, to inspire our listeners and to share your journey. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather. It's lovely having that conversation and reconnecting. I'm looking forward to more conversations together with you.
Absolutely. Thank you.